Okay. All right, this doesn't work, does it? Guys, can you hear me? Welcome to Cheektowaga Neighborhood Watch tonight. First, let's start with, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let's have a moment of silence for our fallen, please. Okay, as we begin tonight, as we do always, we'll start with the roll call of officers. Stan isn't here tonight. I'm the Vice President, Chris Olczak. Our first Vice President, Dean, isn't here. Our recording secretary is here in the audience. I hope I'm going to say this right. Belly. We have an open position for correspondent secretary. And our community outreach coordinator, Ed Cheektowaga. Big round of applause for him because he sets up all our guests and does a lot of work for this club. Okay. Everybody, any problems with the acceptance of the minutes to the last meeting? I need a couple people to say they're okay.
They're okay.
Okay? Two, okay. Anybody objections? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll go with that. And tonight, we have our community outreach coordinator, Steve Olczak, Assistant Code Enforcement Officer, Housing and Neighborhood Preservation. Could you come up here, please?
Okay, so Cody's going to ask me how I made it look so easy. So welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out on a holiday. We got a bunch of pea soup out there, but it looks like we got a full house today. We're going to talk about code enforcement this evening. My name is Stephen Olczak. I'm an assistant code enforcement officer, and I work within the town of Cheektowaga Building and Plumbing Department. We're located at 275 Alexander Avenue on the second floor. That's an old school that was converted. We're right next to the ice rink in Town Park. So the Building and Plumbing Department actually consists of about 25 personnel. So we have 2 inspectors who do commercial new construction and renovation. We have 2 inspectors dedicated to just residential new construction and renovation. Now myself and a colleague, we spend a little bit of time inspecting some of the smaller construction projects. We have 2 fire safety officers. We have 2 plumbing officers. For planning and zoning, we have a town planner and a code enforcement officer dedicated to just assisting him with the zoning. And of course, we have a handful of clerks that make our department run, and we could not accomplish what we do without their assistance. So at the top of that pyramid, we have a boss, the supervisory code enforcement officer. His name is Don Wartinger. He's been with the town for about 30 years, so he's a seasoned pro. And then we have something called the Housing and Neighborhood Preservation. That sounds almost regal. Housing and Neighborhood Preservation. That's where I spend most of my day. So if we get a complaint or a violation or an issue that does not neatly fall into any of those categories on top, it falls to us. We jokingly say we're the complaint department. If anybody wants to gripe, they call us and we deal with it. But it is a very integral part of the Building and Plumbing Department. So we live in the United States, the land of freedom, right? We have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Why should some government office be able to come to my house? My wife and I live in the town, obviously. We have a house. Why should some government agency be able to come to my house and tell us what we can and cannot do? Okay, valid question. So in other words, why do codes exist? I'm going to give you a dramatic example of why codes exist, and then we'll talk about some of the more mundane things that most of us probably had some experience with. So, has anyone heard about the big fire at the school in Cheektowaga?
Yes. Cleve Hill.
Okay, so we had a yes, a hand, and so out of 50 people, we had maybe 4, 5, 6. Okay, so some are aware of that. That's the example I'm going to use. So after the baby boom, all these students fled into the schools. Cleve Hill had a campus of masonry buildings, but they had a wood-framed annex to handle some of the overflow. So in 1954, on a winter morning, it started on fire. They believe it was probably a defective furnace. And unfortunately, 15 sixth graders lost their lives, and there was also some injuries. It went up like a tinderbox. I think they said within 20 or 30 minutes it was knocked down to the ground. Now, don't you think the community would look at this event and say, why did this happen? Where was the building department? Where was the fire department? Who designed this building? Why was it allowed to happen? Why did our children have to suffer this way? So here we got a initial headline, 11 pupils killed. It turned out to be 15 in total, unfortunately. So loss of life. There are the charred remains. So a tragic event, loss of property, loss of life. Now here's why I asked who knew about this event. When we get trained to be code enforcement officers, they use this event as an example and how it really changed the way buildings were constructed. One of my colleagues, who's one of the plumbing inspectors, he went to Cleve Hill School from the earliest grade they offer, and he aged right out of it. Not once did they mention the fire that occurred. So I was wondering why there was a wall of silence. Maybe it was they didn't want to have post-traumatic stress on the children. They didn't want to scare the children who were going to school at the time. Maybe there was embarrassment from the code officials. I don't know why. But fortunately, since then, well, again here, this is the code enforcement. In March of 1954, the fire happens. Within 1 year, the legislature passed a law requiring safety inspections. And that was only the start. It was a domino effect. Many, many, many things to prevent fires have been instituted as a result of this. So that's kind of a dramatic example of why we have codes. Plumbing codes, electrical codes, property maintenance codes. It's the very minimum that we must adhere to have safe schools, to have safe communities, okay? And when you purchase a property in the town of Cheektowaga, you're implicitly saying, okay, I'm going to agree with the rules and regulations of that community. So that's why we have a building code. When I say the name John Zack, does that ring any bells? He was a radio personality. Okay. Okay, so John Zack. So he's long since retired, but he finally wrote a book to distill all of this information about that fire. But it wasn't published in 1954 or 74 or 94. It took till 2024 before this book was published. But finally, it's done. I've actually been in email contact with him. I went to the Cleve Hill School earlier this week, and the principal gave me a personal tour. They finally have become open about those issues and what happened. They have a whole wall that memorializes what happened, and they actually have a teacher who teaches the students exactly what happened. So, back to the mundane, everyday issues that we deal with in code enforcement. Contrary to popular belief, as code enforcement officers, we do not go out into the community. Okay, there was a storm, your gutters are damaged. We're going to get you. We're going to make you fix that. It's not that at all. The vast majority of our complaints come into us from the public. I would say 95% come into us from the public. You can pick up the phone and call our office. You can write a letter via snail mail. You can do the email. You can walk into 275 Alexander, second floor. You can talk to one of our clerks. They will take your concerns, create a complaint, and then the inspector in that territory will follow up on it. They'll do an in-person inspection. Other departments, we do get some referrals from highway and sanitation. And of course, again, some people want to go over your head right to the supervisor, so they're going to go to supervisor and complain about this or that. But we take all complaints seriously, whether it comes from an anonymous phone call or the supervisor's office. You can go to the Town of Cheektowaga website. There is a portal. From the privacy and comfort of your own home, you can create a complaint. It can be anonymous. So we want to hear what's going on. Okay, so the typical day. Our office opens at 9 a.m. We close at 4:30 p.m. If you have to come into the office to make a payment or pay a fine, pay for a permit, don't come in after 4 p.m. because the clerks need to process those payments. So, personally, I arrive in the office, I look at my emails, I answer phone calls, I'll be writing letters from previous days, looking at my computer screen. The maximum number of inspections I will do in a day is 35. When it gets a little bit slower, you might be 10, 12, 15. After lunch, I go out into the field and I do the inspections. Sometimes a homeowner will say, you know what my neighbor's doing? You know, I can send you video, I can send you pictures. As certified code enforcement officers, we have to put eyeballs on the violation. We have to take photos with our town-issued device. We have to enter the notation as we find it. Because in the very slight case that goes to court, the case would fall apart if we're going by hearsay or third-party reporting. So let's go over quickly the top 10 violations. Has anyone here had a violation placed on them? Anyone got a letter, something you did wrong? Paul, you got a good group here. Nobody breaks the law. We're all right. Okay, let's go over some of these. Okay. Tall grass. The Town of Cheektowaga Property Maintenance Code says grass in excess of 6 inches is a violation. It must be cut and maintained on a regular basis. Now remember, we live in the land of freedom. We can do what we want, right? Well, within reason. Would you really want this in the house next to you or across the street from you? And not only does it not look too good, that's a real cute looking little house there. But let me tell you, this is what we call rodent harborage. If you get a pile of brush or wood or high grass or debris, those little critters can go in there and they hide and they can multiply. So it's not only going to look better, it's going to be safer for you. Snow-covered sidewalks. Yeah. The last 6 weeks, we've been running like crazy. Snow-covered sidewalks. The code says that as a property owner, you are responsible for clearing the snow adjacent to your property. Even though it's in that right of way, which the town actually owns, it's still your responsibility to clear it. But again, our viewpoint from our department is not to pound and send out an SD letter and be mean. Usually, we hand out a bright orange advisory. It's like a reminder, this is your responsibility. A few days later, if it's not shoveled, then we will send out a violation. And then do the subsequent follow-up. If it's not done, a town contractor will go out and clear your sidewalk, and you will be billed. So I always tell the homeowner or the business owner, take care of it yourself. You can control the cost. It's got to be cheaper if you do it. So again, a common theme is that we always try to work with the property owners. We call this a UUMV, unlicensed, unregistered motor vehicle, also referred to as an inoperable vehicle. I couldn't find a picture with a vehicle up on cinder blocks, but you know what I mean. You've seen those. So again, we really don't want this to be next door to us. So this would be a violation. It would have to be moved. Going hand in hand with that is parking on the grass. You put a boat on the grass, you put your RV on the grass, it's going to create this kind of mess. That is a violation. You must park on an approved surface, which is either concrete or asphalt. And the placement has to be within certain parameters. It can't be in front of the primary residence, and it has to be within 5 feet of your property line. And if you want a curb cut, you've got to have it approved from highway. But you can extend and place a pad for your RV or your other vehicles. Okay, you go to Sam's Club. They got a sale on mattresses. We get a new mattress and box spring. We're all happy. Is this okay? We own the house. We pay taxes. It should be picked up by sanitation, right? Wrong. They will not pick this up. It has to be sealed in a big plastic bag and sealed with tape. Otherwise, they will not pick it up. If it's wrapped and sealed, they'll pick it up, no problem. Where am I going to get a big plastic bag? Yes, sir.
They'll pick up a dirty, they won't pick up a dirty mattress, they'll pick up dirty couches.
Next time we have a town hall meeting, I want you to sign up for your 3 minutes. Or, about every 5 years we update the code. There's sufficient changes to make where we update the code. And that's a legit. Email me, I'll put it on the list. Yeah, I'll put it on the list. So, to answer my question, you can go to Walmart, $8.98, they got the bag. Home Depot, Lowe's, anybody, they have it. This is a thing now. And if we have time later, I can tell you why it's a big thing during the Q&A. You got a question?
Okay, we had one, we live up Broadway. We had one, that a couple drove up the street, dropped it in the middle of the street on Broadway. So,
Okay, she says in her neighborhood somebody drove by and basically kicked the mattress off in the middle of the street and went. That's dumping, that's illegal.
the town did come again.
Yep, thankfully. And I think that's
The town was called, and they did come and pick it up because it was not of ours.
yeah, that's kind of an extenuating circumstance. Our authority as code enforcement officers ends at the end of that right of way. Once it's in the street, you basically have to call sanitation, police.
I mean,
Yeah.
they pulled it off to the side.
Yeah.
Right,
But it's wonderful. I'm glad to
Dropped it off and
hear.
kept going.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that they came and got it. That's within reason. That makes a lot of sense to me. A little bit of renovating. You got a new toilet? Great. It's got to be wrapped. It will not be picked up for sanitary reasons. Get a big old contractor bag, put it in there. Sanitation will come and take it. Okay, debris. Now wait a minute. I own this house. It's my stuff. Why can't I have it? Well, you can have regular residential household items. You can have a picnic table and chairs and an umbrella. You can have a grill. You can have a bicycle or 2 or 3. You could have a garden hose and those regular things. But dozens of old rusty rims, bald tires, stacks of pallets. I actually had a complaint on a residential property. Someone had a appliance repair business. They literally had about 18 washers, dryers, and refrigerators scattered across the whole back lawn in various states of repair. So obviously, I wrote him a letter. He kind of knew that he shouldn't have been doing it. And it took him maybe 60 to 90 days to get rid of it. So clearly, that was a violation. So again, your regular household stuff, yes, but materials, equipment, etc., can be in a fully enclosed structure, a garage, a shed. You want to haul it into your basement? Okay. But this, yeah, that's not allowed in a residential. This is a catch-all. At various times, we will have to write for a roof or siding or windows and frames and various things. So that's kind of a catch-all. We're more lenient, and the law is more lenient if you are an owner-occupant. If you own apartments, then the bar is much higher. Just an aside there.
Excuse me,
Yes, ma'am.
do property owners who rent their properties have to be registered with the town?
I believe if it's a 2-unit or more, you can go to town hall for $100. You just register. Don't
Is
quote me
it
on that.
mandatory?
I'm not really sure about that, but if you want to abide by the codes and be a good citizen, I would go do it.
Okay, thank you. I'm just
Sure.
curious.
Okay, the code says the downspout and sump pump must be discharged in a manner that does not create a nuisance or a hazard. When that sump pump goes onto a hard surface, a driveway, a sidewalk, even the road, I have seen ice slicks 12 feet wide and 70 feet long. It is a horrible, horrible, hazard. And there are multiple ways of fixing that. We don't determine the exact way they make the repair. There are options. Sometimes if they choose a more expensive option, we have this little department called community development, and they can help you with funding. So that is not allowed. And again, you're setting yourself up for a lawsuit. Someone slips and they blow out a knee, or it's just not worth it. I think this is one of the last complaints. Heaved, broken, shifted sidewalks, okay? And don't tell me, everybody drives nowadays, nobody walks. But imagine your child or your grandchild trying to ride their bike, up and down the street. This is a horrible, horrible hazard. I believe the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, they have like 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 an inch or more is considered a hazard. That's a hazard. That's a fail. Now, hand in hand with the heaved sidewalks are trees in the right-of-way. So they can build a big roof ball, they can lift, they can heave, they can actually damage the sidewalk, but it's still your responsibility. Back in 2015, there was the emerald ash borer beetle. It came through, it destroyed a lot of trees. The town had to remove hundreds, maybe even a few thousand trees. That was in 2015. Guess what happened in 2017? The town commissioned a tree study. So they came through and they checked out our community, and they had how many species and how big they were, the average diameter, and they determined that the crown coverage over our community should be at roughly 40%. Our crown coverage was reduced all the way down to 21%. So our current policy at the housing department is we will not refer a healthy tree for removal. So they gave us this rubric: good, fair, poor, dead. If it's dead, we'll remove it. If it has foliage on it and it's rotted, we'll remove it, if it's a clear danger. But otherwise, we're not going to remove it. And someone will say, well, look at that poor tree, it's going to go. There was a rough drought for summer, it was extra hot. You go back in 2 or 3 years, and that tree that's on the poor column will look big and beautiful and green. So just like us, human beings, there are good years and bad years. Just because you get a little sick, we don't go cutting you down. That would not be good PR. So. But if you have someone who wants that tree removed, they don't think it's too funny. Okay, I want to squeeze this in. Don asked me to mention this. Back about 15 years ago, when there was a heavy rain event or a snow melt-off event, you remember when there used to be water on the streets and cellars would get flooded and you'd be driving home and 6, 8, 10 inches of water? Well, they thought the sanitary, the treatment plant was being overwhelmed. So the town of Cheektowaga says, well, let's float a bond for $10 million and let's expand the capacity of our sanitary sewer. Now, the taxpayers are going to pay for that. The state came in and they said, you don't have to do that. Okay, you flush your toilet, that's waste, that has to be treated before it can go back into the lake. Stormwater and rainwater does not have to be treated. It can go directly into the culvert and out to the lake. So we were sending stormwater into the sanitary treatment plant. First of all, it costs money to treat water that doesn't have to be treated, and it was overwhelming the plant. And they tell me when it was overwhelmed, they pulled this big switch, and all the water would just go right into the lake untreated. Not good. So, way back when, you could build a house, and the rainwater would come down into a cast iron receiver, and it would go into the sanitary. So you were literally putting the rainwater into the sanitary sewer, and you were overloading the sanitary treatment plant. So they said, here's the solution. The stormwater may only go into the storm sewer, and the only thing that can go into the sanitary is that dirty water. And the capacity for the sanitary is more than enough. You'll never have to expand it. So we go out every time a piece of property is sold and changes hands. We are looking. The sanitary and the storm must be separate, and never the twain shall meet. And if we find where they're bleeding into each other, then they have to be corrected. So if you're going to sell your house, you're going to have to pay $100. We're going to come out and do this inspection, And if there is any commingling of the water, you have to correct it. Fair enough. And over time, I haven't seen that flooding happen as much anymore. So it's actually working over time. The state hasn't come out and demanded all properties be done. Right now, it's just when they change hands. Okay, this is a map, and all of the homes within those orange boxes are subject to the I&I. If you're down around the French transit board area, when those were built, they didn't commingle those discharges, so you'll never need an I&I. I have a map over there if you want to go over there and see if your property's in that map. How's everybody doing? You with me? Yes? No? I don't care? Okay. Moving right along. Okay, so the inspection itself. Like I said, we can't take third-party hearsay or photos. We have to be there. We have to take our town-issued vehicles, our town-issued devices. We have to put eyeballs on it. We have to take the photographs. We have to document as found what we see right then and there. If it's a violation, they will get a violation letter. If it's a nothing burger, we close it out and move on. Okay. The violation letter. If we find a violation that's valid, we go back to the office, we create a letter. Time frame, that's usually 30 days with some exceptions. To whom? The owner of record, based on the tax rolls, will get a letter and will also post it to the property. So how many? Generally it's 2. One letter gets posted to the actual property. If it's a business, we go in, we hand it to the clerk. And then they always get a letter in the U.S. mail. This way, they can't say the dog ate it, I never got it. They're going to get the message. And that goes first class. Certified. When we send a certified letter? If there's an empty lot with high grass, it's a violation. There's nothing to post it to. So we send one letter to the owner of record that goes certified now. Okay, so this funnel. The national code is kind of general and a catch-all. Each state has a more restrictive code on the items that are specific to that state. And then narrowing even more, each and every municipality can make the codes they want for their community. And we always go by the most restrictive code. Okay, the life cycle, like I said, generally it's 30 days from the state. Most of the town codes are also 30 days. The ones that are 5 days and 2 days, that would be high grass. You don't want to have high grass and give somebody a month to fix it, or shoveling snow. In a month it's going to be melted. So that's a 5-day. The first time in the season we give you a violation, it's 5 days. If it happens again in the same season, it's 2 days, because you're pretty much aware of what's going on. This is the letter we send. In this case, it's a 30-day letter. And I highlighted the top. After the 30-day letter, if the problem has not been corrected, we have the option of sending a second 30-day letter prior to court, or we can just refer it to court immediately. I highlighted my signature. We have to fill out an affidavit saying that we saw the violation. We have to fill out an affidavit that we mailed and posted the letter. If we refer it to court, again, it's got to be notarized. It's a notarized court document. So that's why we have to take the photos. We have to take the notes. And, we take it seriously. We don't just, we're not trying to inconvenience people. The Chapter 66 is the local chapter that addresses the snow, the grass. We put that on the fast track. And Vince is our contractor. He does all that work. We don't want to refer you to court. Call us. We'll work with you. Weather permitting, no problem. You're getting a home equity line, no problem. You're getting 3 bids. You want to get 3 different bids and hear what they have to propose to you, and you take the one that you like the best. Okay, let's work with you. If you just don't want to cooperate and you totally ignore us, we got to send you to court. So you're going to get a summons. You're going to go in and be arraigned. They'll give you an appearance ticket. And if you don't respond to any of that stuff, they will issue a warrant for your arrest. Nobody wants that. So please, just respond to the letter if you get one. So when you go into court, you don't show up at the judges and they're going to slam some fine on you. We're not that nasty. You're going to meet with the town prosecutor in a little side office, and the inspector who has that territory and who wrote the violation, and then the homeowner or the business owner. And we're going to have a conversation. This is what's wrong. Can you fix it? Can you get some estimates? Have you made any progress on it? We want compliance. We want you to work with us. That's all we're asking for. If you are able to solve the problem, and it's really been like pulling teeth and a long drawn-out thing, you'll get an adjournment in contemplation of dismissal, which means if you keep your property clean, after 6 months it's gone. If you start having violations again within the 6 months, you go right back into court. So nobody wants to do that. If you come into court, we work with you, you get it taken care of, then it's dismissed once it's fixed. A guilty plea and fine. People get that letter and they say, oh, am I going to get a guilty plea and fine? Am I going to go to jail? No, but that verbiage has to be there. Otherwise, it has no traction. People will just throw the letter away. So it gets their attention. But in this particular role that I've been in for 5 years, I think 2 or 3 of my people went for a guilty plea and a fine. And I have not had to bring anyone to trial yet. So we don't want to get that far. Again, if I go out for an inspection, it's not readily visible to me. Maybe the neighbor was just getting upset. I will leave a door hanger with my card. We're concerned, there's an issue. 9 out of 10 times they will call me. And if it's something that has to be corrected, we want to work with you. And these are just some of the documents. The one on the right is the snow advisory. So it's just a friendly reminder, please clean up your sidewalks. And the code itself can be hard and cold. It's quantitative. You must do this and this and this. But the qualitative part of what we do is working with people. We read the code, we understand the code, we interpret the code, but we have leeway. We have a little bit of, we can be judicious in how we work with that in getting a resolution. So that's a common thread. We always try to work with the property owners. The end. Everybody's happy. So we made it to the end, and now is your opportunity. If there are any questions, if you want a little bit of elaboration on anything I've mentioned, now's your time. Sir, what do you got?
How do you have a fire damage?
Okay, fire damage at homes, very good. The few times I've been called out after hours for overtime is when there's a fire in the middle of the night. So we go there, we document, the firemen do their thing, we stay out of their way. When the fire is put out, we call for a company to come and board it up to make it safe. And then we'll placard it. One of the placards, not safe for habitation, do not enter. They can only enter during business hours to make renovations. But then it's usually, they call the insurance company. And the insurance company will work with them on a claim on the renovations. If they're going to do a gut or any significant renovation, they'll have to come in and get a permit to have the work done. And then one of the inspectors will work with the contractor as they complete.
How long could that be?
How long could it be? We have a place on Beach Road that burned down probably a year ago. And there was just issues with the insurance and what have you. But we make sure the sidewalk is shoveled, the lawn is kept up, and that the property is secure. Now it's going to be an eyesore, but we're making the danger element as little as we possibly can. So, any other questions? Sir?
Does any of this cover Sloan and the part of DQ that's Cheektowaga?
The answer is no and no. Sloan, when we go to court 2 times a week on a Wednesday for the violations, we see Vince Ferraccio. He does Sloan, that's his baby. And the village of Depew, I know there's this overlap with the school taxes, and part of Depew, if you go on the tax rolls, it says Depew, but it's kind of Cheektowaga, and when we do the code enforcement. But there is a portion on the map over there that is definitely Depew, and they have their own code enforcement department.
First of all, thank you for coming down Greenway and citing, because a lot of our elderly people had to walk the street because people are too lazy to shovel the snow.
Yeah.
The other thing is, some properties, their bushes are like 12, 14 feet, growing over everybody's fence and everything else. Is there any kind of code enforcement for that?
Don't quote me, but I know that if you come from the front of your house and you start going towards the sidewalk, for the driveways to have visibility between 3 and 7 feet, you can't have anything. So the hedge would have to be cut down to 36 inches, and there's a certain setback where that 36 inches would start, and then it could get higher. Now on the maximum height, if you've got a big long lot and it's not bothering anybody, I don't know that there's a prohibition, but you can certainly call the office if you have a specific question, and we can look it up. The code is over 1,000 pages. There's no way we can memorize it, but we hit Control F and I type in bushes and it'll come up and we can find it for you.
And another thing, over on, this is my pet peeve, over on Cleveland and Union, the old AutoZone, the
Oh, yeah.
Cleveland Park, the gates are open now. I complained at the town board meeting also, and the place is a mess. I mean, it's just ugly. And I guess everything's in courts, but it is, and they've been cited.
I personally have cited that property for tall grass, and they came out and they cut the grass. Now, that was a burnout. As long as that building is secured with plywood or OSB, and there's no debris out and it's not a hazard, the fact that they put the gate there is kind of like construction. If they're going to have construction materials and vehicles, they want to keep people out. But you're kind of, as long as it's secure, it may not look too pretty, but we have to give people an opportunity to go ahead and fix it. So I know that's not an exact answer telling you exactly what's going to happen, but if it's boarded up and relatively safe, the gate doesn't necessarily have to be locked unless maybe they're in construction and there's a big hole in the ground or hazardous conditions. But unfortunately, when it goes all the way down to daisy chain and it's in court, we have to wait for the court process to play through, and unfortunately, it can take months.
How about the Delta Sonic over on Union?
Well, Delta Sonic is a good corporate citizen. They usually have their act together, and it could be a vacant, closed-out building. But again, unless there's really any obvious, hazard, it can sit that way for a little while. But thank you for your question, sir.
We've done about shopping carts left in the neighborhood. You know where the old Dole Bridge is? On Nagle Road?
I don't, but I know of what you speak. One time I saw an orange Home Depot cart left on the side. That thing must cost almost $1,000. I have literally picked them up and put them in my vehicle and taken them back, but we can't do that.
Well, it's Walmart that they're bringing them. When I seen them there today, I called about 2 weeks ago. There were 6 of them. They took them away. 3 more are in there today. Down around Walton, down Nagle, drop them, walk back up to Walton, take their groceries, and go down toward the city.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I promise you I'm not passing the buck. But remember, once that goes off a parcel that's owned by a private entity, it's beyond my scope. I have no authority. But I like the fact that you're a good citizen. You called Walmart and they came and picked them up.
I didn't call Walmart. I complained to the town. Somebody must have called.
Okay, so the system, as flawed as it can be sometimes, it worked, and we got resolution on that. Any other questions, ma'am?
Yeah, he was talking about the bushes being so high and not being able to see. What about the monster snow mounds that are on the ends of the driveway at Benbrough and Walden? And I have an SUV, so I sit up higher. I still can't see down Walden to see if it's clear for me to bring traffic to make a left-hand turn.
Yeah, there is not supposed to be any obstruction for pedestrian or vehicular traffic. It is very dangerous. Once in a while, we'll get an official, someone will call in a complaint, we'll tell the business, and they'll have the high lift come and remove it. But it's like whack-a-mole. You take care of 10 and 20 more pop up, and by the time we get them to have any responsibility, it's melted. So that is a difficult situation. Ma'am.
Don't you agree it's been a horrendous winter, and no matter how hard you try, I talked to some club guys, even my own, they can't get there on time. My guy lost one of his trucks, they can't shovel this, they can't, and it's for those snowmounds. They're all over. I mean, you're creeping down a side street or coming out on Union Road and you're trying to sneak out
You know, at my level of authority, when you call and say, this street has 4 houses without the sidewalk, we really appreciate that, because we can't go and find them all. So believe it or not, if 10 people saw that and reported 40, 50, 60, 70 homes, it helps a little bit. And usually once someone gets the violation letter, they kind of realize it's their responsibility, and going forward, they usually take care of it.
Even if you shovel them, there's all the ice and everything. I can't tell you how much money I spent on salt this year because I can't go out and head shoulders or I can't do this stuff anymore. Okay? My plow guy worked, but you got ice all over the place. Today I took a walk, I tried to get out for a while, and you gotta walk on the street with it because, you know, I don't want to fall again. It was over a couple of years ago, I don't want to fall again. No, I'm by myself.
Absolutely. You make a valid point. I'm going to make one final comment on your question, then we're going to check in with Ed real quick. We have residences who hire a plow guy, and even businesses who hire a plow guy. They come and do a great job with the driveway or the parking lot, but the sidewalks, they ignore it. And they'll heap the snow right on the sidewalk, and they'll say, I don't do sidewalks.
There's a thing out on the board here for Cheektowaga, different plow people actually, because my plow guy is far away, that I'm gonna have to change next year. So I picked up the paper there, and a lot of the right of ways, you know, no sidewalks, no sidewalks.
Well,
And they tell you what
you raise an interesting point. From what I understand, if you want to be a plow guy, have a snow plowing business in the town of Cheektowaga, you have to go to town hall and get a permit. How about if, in order to get that permit, you promise to these, I will not block the sidewalk, I will do such, I will do such, I will do such. Just an idea.
Well, maybe, I don't know, they're out there, and you just pick up one, there, and listen, we'll put them out, there's a whole bunch of them.
If there's one there after the meeting, could you please bring it up and put it on my table, so I'd be happy to review it.
I gave some to my neighbors that can't get out, because this has been a really crazy year.
Okay, valid point. Call me, I'll try to do what I can. Mr. Ed, how are we doing?
Good. Two notorious as of recent intersections, Union and Lawson, and Union and William, the notorious red right turn arrows. I can't tell you, if I had $5 for everybody that blew that light, I wouldn't have to ever work again. How do we get the state to put signs up delineating no right turn on a red arrow?
There is a sign, because I was sitting there waiting to go down the Union Road, and the sign is there, hanging no right turn on red. The guy behind it was laying on his horn to get that guy to move, because he wanted to make
They do that to me all the time, and I do a part-time delivery job. There ain't no way I'm moving.
Well, Ed, you and this young lady here, you make a great point. And everybody can kvetch about a problem, but it takes one person to distill this down and create a letter or an email or a suggestion as detailed as you possibly can, and then we'll push that up the daisy chain somehow.
Yeah.
But I'll sign on to your petition. You know what I mean? But if you want to take the lead on that, God bless you.
Because in addition, not so much the frustrations of people that still desire to turn against the arrow. The people that do that are also causing a traffic hazard and possible accidents. And it's crazy enough with people not following the DOT that we don't need that.
Okay. Very good. So she gave me a couple copies. I'm going to put them on the table afterwards if anyone wants to come and get a copy. You know, Ed, to be honest with you, red arrow means don't go. Is that like a red light where if it's clear you can go?
Nope.
Okay. A lot of times with the code, people they just don't know. They for a lack of knowledge. So you're right. Maybe there has to be a campaign.
Last month's Sentinel newsletter that we have, I specified that, and you can't do that. You cannot do it. Just like you can, who would want to turn left on a red arrow? Do you have a death wish? No. Same thing applies to a right arrow. If it's an arrow of any color, you must pay attention to it. If it's yellow, take your chances. If it's green, you're good. But if it's red, stay there.
Ed, you know, you're an intelligent guy, but something tells me you're not the first person to think of this. Maybe as part of your research and this effort, maybe you can go onto the New York State DMV website, and do they have it laid out? Do they have a pictorial? Maybe it's just a matter of either getting that or getting it promulgated, pushed out to the public.
Probably contact DOT, New York State Department of Transportation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the house. As we were talking about codes that change over time. You know how codes get amended and
Okay, let's not cross-talk. You've had a wonderful contribution, you and the blue shirt. I appreciate that. This gentleman has a comment quickly here.
how codes get amended over time and things change.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, I did a sewer main in my house. And when they did it, no complaints, permit, you guys were excellent. But at that time, the plumber also had to wire in the basement a smoke and CO detector. And when they came out, the inspector came out and checked for that to make sure that was wired. Obviously checked the plumbing job. He also checked the sump pump to make sure the sump pump wasn't going into the sewer. And that's, I don't think sometimes people are aware of that even on a regular inspection for something like a sewer main, they will check the pump and they will.
You know, with all due respect, and this is a very good question, if the sewer main from your house to the road is damaged and you're investing in repairing it, you have to pull a permit. We don't want to be those guys. Now that we're in your house, we're going to find every single deficiency you have. We don't want to do that, and that's not what we do.
No,
but if they see if there's
at all.
no detector around the furnace, that's kind of tangentially. And again, that's for your own sake.
And the plumber said they're going to put the smoke and CO detector, we got to put that in. And he said right up, they're going to check the sump pump just to make sure. And they really stayed with that. They didn't go anywhere else.
Yeah,
They just
they want to stay
very
with it.
professional, very easy.
But you talked about the code evolving over time. We've been using the 2020 code, now it's updated in 2025.
Yes.
Okay, there's something about storage of lithium-ion batteries. That's new technology. That wasn't even an issue 30 years ago. And then when they came out with the laminated beams instead of dimensional lumber, well, that was new technology. There were no charts on it, so that was added. Another one that's new, someone wants to put up a beautiful patio with those timbers coming like this. Guess what? Dimensional lumber has been tested by engineers and it's on charts. We know exactly what the loads are. These new rough hewn, they're not on the charts. So now finally we're getting those into the code. So like you said, it evolves.
Yeah.
And eventually we catch up with new techniques, new materials, new processes. And so the code can address
Makes sense in a house built in 57.
Exactly.
Why there'd be a good addition.
Exactly. Anyone who hasn't spoke yet, you in the back.
Who's responsible for digging out fire?
Okay, I had a complaint on this recently. A residence had a plow guy and he heaped snow this tall on the hydrant. So we looked into the code. It says in that right of way, you may have no obstructions. You're not supposed to have landscaping. You're not supposed to have a basketball net. You're not supposed to have, Buffalo Bills benches for sale out there. It doesn't necessarily say that the homeowner is responsible for cleaning it, but it does tell us indirectly that you may not heap on top of it. So that being said, I believe that the volunteer firemen, they do go out and they try to clean them up the best they can. Now, if you want to be a responsible member of the community and you have a fire plug on your right of way and you want to clear it, it may be you or someone that you know one day who needs that. That would be greatly appreciated. But unfortunately, it falls to the volunteer firemen who do it out of the goodness of their heart for nothing. So if nothing else, let's not add to their problem by heaping on top. Way in the back. Because I've seen them with my own eyeballs doing it. Now, whether they do it because they want to, or whether I don't think it's required. I don't think it's their responsibility, but I think they take it on just as part of their ethos.
And I will say this, I clean the street hydrants closest to my house on each side. I think it is the responsibility, I think it should be the responsibility of all the residents, because water hydrant service is always, not just the house that is in front. So I think everybody should just go out with fire.
that sounds fantastic in theory, but to codify it and get it down on paper in black and white, it's a little bit tricky.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, everybody here, get out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, next town hall meeting, you got your 3 minutes. Go for it. Okay, how are we doing? Any questions? Are we winding down here? We're at 7:53. Okay. In the blue, you spoke once already? No, you go ahead.
Just a question, when you were talking about the notices for your showing your sidewalk, do you send them letters or postcards?
It's at our discretion. We can take a bright orange card as a courtesy. And then, if we post it to your door. If we do an actual violation, it's a letter in an envelope in the U.S. mail. We do not send out postcards.
Okay.
And the advisory is at our discretion. If it's busy, we just got to get right to the violations we do.
Two of my neighbors have gotten them, okay, so there's one or me and her. So two of us in the middle didn't get one, but the other two on the end did, because it didn't show their sidewalk. So we were just, so they sent me a picture of it, I deleted it. We weren't sure if it was the town or the post office.
We have had mailmen call our office and give us a list of 10, 15, 20. So they can use our office. That's what they're there for. Okay, we're winding down. Any final questions? I think that's going to do it for us.
I want to thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again. And if you guys got any questions, see you. And now we got a few words from our afternoon lieutenant would like to speak to us. Come on down.
I'm Lieutenant Slawatycki. I run the afternoon shift. I have for the last couple years. This is weird. I'll try not to swear like I normally do.
You're good. You're good.
I'm going to keep moving, so you
Yeah.
stand by it. Now I'm going to mess with you. So I don't get to make it to a lot of these things because I'm on the road and I like to be busy and not at my desk. So I try to make it here when I can. Officer Nazzarett called me and told me I had no choice but to stop over here and see all your fine faces. So I don't, it's busy. We had a hell of a night the other night. Everybody saw it on the internet, whether all of that is true or not. You know, it is what it is. The easiest way for me to do this is just give me what you got, what questions you got, or what do you want to hear about? All right, great talk. You had 70 questions for the town, for the code enforcement guy. What do you got?
Okay, I'll bite. Is the town of Cheektowaga a secure community?
That's a good question.
That small group of people with a big voice are making it seem that way.
So, technically speaking, I don't even know what that is. Right? It's not in my policies, it's not written by the town board, it's not in the law. I don't have an answer for that. What I can tell you is that the Cheektowaga Police Department enforces criminal, state, local, federal law, and civil law we advise on. So we get called all the time for civil matters, and we get called all the time for criminal matters. That's what we deal with on a daily basis. People call 911 for everything. There is a lot less options than you would think, and we get called for it all. And a lot of what we have to do is advise people on where to go and what steps and who to talk to when concerning sidewalks. And you know, if I want to build an addition, or if my neighbor's shoveling snow or blowing snow into my yard, and we send them to code enforcement because, gee, I don't have a good answer for it. Shit, be nice to your neighbor, give him some cookies, leave him alone, have a beer.
Alternating parking, taking cars after 12 o'clock and then sitting there, they're supposed to be switched over to this.
I don't. I only work till 11 p.m. Next question. Yes. So I used to run the midnight shift, so alternate side parking, as well as the winter parking, overnight parking. They're a little bit different between the hour. It's like 1 hour difference between Sloan and then the village and the town. We all can't be the second happiest place on earth, so we have to have that hour difference. But yeah, our midnight guys are out there checking, and it goes, a lot of times it goes by complaints. So if they're busy and we get a complaint, then we check on it every single night until we make sure that nobody else is doing it. But a lot of times you gotta let us know, right? Like if we're busy, I mean, to start the shift, to start the afternoon shift, we had roughly 20 calls in the first hour to start today's shift. So it gets busy.
Is there a cutoff time in the summertime for how late they can blow off fireworks?
So a lot of, we talking 4th of July? Because it's everybody. It would be considered a noise complaint, and what we would do a lot of times is come and make an advisement. So if somebody in your neighborhood's blowing off fireworks, or even if somebody's having a party, if you're having a party till 2 a.m. and you're not pissing off your neighbors, then nobody's gonna call us and you can have your party till 2 a.m. If you're having a party till 8 p.m., at 8 p.m. and it's so loud that you're making all your neighbors mad and they call us, then we're gonna advise you to turn it down. So there's, like, the noise ordinance is what you're doing to the community as a whole. So if you have a street that's having a whole street party and one person's angry, that sucks for the street party because you didn't invite that one neighbor that made you mad 7 years ago. It is tough, right? Because I like to have people over at my house, and I work till 11 p.m. So when I bring the whole shift over to my house after we've had a rough month or two, I got 30 people in my backyard drinking until the sun comes up, and then catching Ubers home, and then all the cars are parked in my driveway, and my wife can't get out, and my kids are like, "You're all degenerates." But it's not, right? That's just the time that we have. And I'd like to do it, but I've been here for 16 years and I've never worked a day shift. So if you have a problem with the fireworks, you can give us a call, but usually they only last like 5 to 10 minutes anyway. And I'm sorry about your dogs.
Do they control the Galleria?
What's that, man?
Does Cheektowaga do they go around the Galleria, or it's just when something happens?
No, we are. So the Walden Galleria has officers stationed there from 4 to 9 p.m. every single Friday and Saturday night. That is paid for by the Galleria Mall. The Walden Galleria. So every single Friday and Saturday night, there are 2 officers within the Galleria for 5 hours. Currently, they have upped that for the week since all the kids are off school. It is noon till 9 p.m. with 4 officers, paid for by the Galleria through the town, and then it gets to the officers. It's bad stuff happens, right? And I hate to say it, but in the particular situation that you saw, that was 2 groups of people who happened to come across each other, it appears. It wasn't planned, it wasn't set up, it wasn't like the kids where it's like, we're gonna go to the mall and fight. Well, why don't you just go to the flagpole outside the school and do it like everybody else? But I guess we gotta do it at the mall sometimes. They have their policies in effect, but they have, their security can only do so much. And with everything else, I may only have 9 officers on the road, plus a sergeant and myself. So that's 9 officers, 2 supervisors, 30 square miles, and how many 100,000 people, and it happens to include them all. So sometimes you're always gonna have somebody there, sometimes you're not.
These were young adults, these weren't kids.
No, I know. Yeah, they were in their 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes people make poor decisions. But hey, I didn't raise them. But here's the thing. There was 3 victims and 2 offenders. We caught both of them as they were trying to leave the mall. We made the arrest that we worked in concert with the district attorney's office and our detective unit. We made the arrest of those 2 offenders. They were treated as adults. They saw the judge in the morning, who sent them to the holding center. After that, there is absolutely nothing else we can do about it. If I worried about everything that the judge did or what the state told the judges that they can and can't do, I would hate my life on a daily basis in what I do. So for what was put in front of us, we caught the bad guys. And nobody, no outsiders, no people that weren't involved in the 2 groups that knew each other were involved. Nobody else got hurt. No tertiary party or whatever wording you want to use. Am I swearing? Am I doing all right?
The officers,
Father?
not the Cheektowaga police, but the officers from Galleria, do they have the right to arrest? Do they have the authority to arrest somebody? Or they have to call you guys in?
The security official, the security that works at the Galleria would not, normally they don't go hands-on unless it would be an emergency situation. Could there be something that led them to go hands-on with somebody where they would attempt to detain them before we got there? Yeah, of course. But that's not in their daily workload. They observe, they contact us, and we come. That's more of us to get dirty. And I wouldn't want them to, because, you know, it's a different job, it's different training, it's different. I don't want any of them to get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I mean, I don't want to fight with people anymore. I'm starting to be the old man here. Where's Paul? Close. But that's not what we want to do, but that's what it comes to sometimes. What we do gets dirty sometimes, and whether that's frowned upon or whether that's liked, that's just the way it is. Sometimes people want to fight us. Okay, then that's what we do, but we try to avoid it at all costs. Anybody else? All right, nailed it.
And thank you. Big round of applause. Okay. We have no old business. We have no really new business. And Officer Nazzarett would like to go over concerns of the police department.
All right, how many of you received the Sentinel today in your emails? I just want to make sure that that's working. If you don't have email, each meeting I'll try to print up 15 or 20 of them so that you'll get a copy of it. But if you do have email, you should get it as soon as that gets to me. We all approve it and we go out that day. So whether it's a Friday or a Monday of the meeting, that's when you'll get them. Our meetings, there's some questions of do we have meetings on holidays? We meet the third Monday of every month except for August. The reason I don't change which Monday it is because that deals with the senior center and what they've got scheduled. It deals with people saying, was it the fourth Monday or the third Monday or the second Monday? If I keep it consistently on the third Monday like we have for 20 years now, it's always the third Monday, except for August, which is National Night Out, and that's the first Tuesday. We are running another Citizens Police Academy. I've got about 15 people signed up. If you want to sign up for it, I can talk to you in the back after the meeting. The red arrows, don't turn on them. Whether there's a sign or not, just don't turn on them. The law is you can't turn on a red arrow. You wouldn't make a left on a red arrow, so don't make a right on a red arrow. Now, are people going to sit back there and wave at you with a certain finger? Probably. Are they going to beep their horns at you? Probably. Are they going to swear at you when they go around you and the light finally turns green? Probably. Just ignore them. The law is you can't turn on a red arrow. If you know anybody 19 or 19 up to about, I think around 40 this year, if you know anybody in that age range that wants to take the civil service test, stop back and see me. We're going to run a law enforcement exam readiness program. We're going to teach people how to take the civil service test. We're going to show them what they typically look for on the civil service test. The civil service test isn't like any other test you're taking. It's not a math test. It's not a science test. We can only tell you what they look for and show you the kinds of questions, and that's how you take these tests. So if you know anybody that might want to be an officer, even if you don't live in town, the testing, we believe is going to be offered in September. We don't have a date yet, but everybody's running low on their civil service test list. So the chiefs have gotten together and called for another test. Continue locking your stuff, your cars, your houses. The numbers are getting better, but if you keep leaving your stuff open and the kids happen to be walking around, they're going to go into your car. So please lock them, and that alleviates the problem. We don't have a lot of kids or a lot of reports of people breaking into stuff, other than just going by and checking the door handles, and if they open it, that's what they're going into. That's all I've got for tonight. There's no 50-50.
No 50-50. We couldn't get up a Cadillac away this month. All right, Ed, you have a few more words you want to join?
Hey gang, good turnout tonight. I wasn't sure with the fog and everything out there. Some people just don't want to drive it. Yeah, like Paul said, with any V&T type thing, people just need to follow what's supposed to be done. I did put that in last month's, and probably most everybody did not see this month's newsletter because it went out late today. So it's in there. The thing about the points, V&T points now for the infractions that have gone way up, which is good. Some of these people that don't feel like they need to follow the rules, maybe they'll get some paper. We already talked about the red arrow sidewalks. Pondering this and trying to do a little research on the sidewalk thing for snow. Town of Elma utilizes their scout troop to do shoveling of sidewalks, fire hydrants, things like that, public safety type thing. And the scouts can get community service points. We do have at least a troop in this town. I have contacted one of the council members that covers all of this territory, just besides the town, and posed that question to her. She did reply. She said that's an excellent idea, and we're going to pursue that to see if we can get scouts need community points. I was one years ago, so the more points you get, the better off at the end of the year. So we're going to go after that and see if we can get some more help. But I put stuff on the Facebook page with a picture of a fire hydrant 3 feet around, 3 feet in every direction, if you're clearing it correctly. So the fire department, the hose that they hook up can be a 6-inch hose. It doesn't bend that easy. So the more room they've got and the less time they have to spend digging that thing out, if it's your house, you're gonna hope they did. So let's just, think about that. Little known fact, I know Paul didn't even know this. Today is the anniversary of the establishment of the 911 system. It's over 50 years ago that this has been on, and it's definitely gotten better over time with technology, where you can actually text 911 in addition to calling. So there's a lot of good stuff. So as in everything else, all suggestions are welcome for whatever you want to see for a meeting. Let me know, because otherwise it gets tough. It's tough sometimes. Wintertime, not too bad, because you have a captive audience in the house. So, but other than that, we're trying to do the best we can. Anybody got anything?
Will you give them information for the Boy Scouts, if they're doing the sidewalks and that? Then you call me here and let me know, because we always get calls from the seniors and everything else, looking for people to shovel their driveways and all that.
Sure.
Can you do that for me?
Yep. Yeah. Once I get the information.
Once you get the information.
Yeah. As far as I understand it, the town only has one scout troop that we know of.
Hi, Monica Elderkin, new councilwoman. We've been talking about this with the Boy Scout being recommended. I also had a conversation with Peakville to start with last Thursday. They want to start having that as a volunteer opportunity for their kids. I'm sure we've expanded to all the districts. So between volunteer, junior volunteer firefighters, that was recommended, Boy Scouts, schools needing their government credits. I think we can, the last thing that we want to do is find seniors and people who are medically unable to.
Right. Paul, I got a question. The YES program.
Yes.
Is there anything with that we could include in this
I think that was in the newsletter as well.
activity to work on sidewalks and fire hydrants?
Let me reach out to my crystal ground, see if that's a thing.
Yep, let me know, because if we can kind of parse the groups together, the more folks we'll get, the more hands that we'll have.
Hey, Ed?
What about people who are legally responsible for doing community service? Can you get them to do the sidewalks?
That's another thing. I'll talk to LT after the meeting. We'll find out what's going on with that. Dave.
Yeah, when you're talking about shoveling up the hydrants, I see a lot of people shovel from the sidewalks to the hydrant. When the fire department comes and hooks up, they hook up from the street. So you have to shovel from the street to the hydrant.
Right.
And then 3 feet around.
Yes.
You also got 3 feet of plowing on the street. So I see a lot of people, I got my hydrant shoveled out. Yeah, it's from the opposite side.
Right.
So they still got to shovel out anyways to hook up.
And
That's what people
that
don't
was-
realize.
That was the purpose of the diagram that I posted on the Facebook page a short time ago. 3 feet in every direction. Out to the street, sidewalk, and both sides of the hydrant.
Well, from the street to the hydrant is probably 6 to 8 feet.
And this year, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Anybody else?
I just wanted to bring something up to everybody. I wanted to first introduce myself directly to everyone. I guess I'm the new recording secretary, and I'm trying to keep names straight now that again, my name is Mike Bielli, and my email's on the newsletter with Ed. I'm trying to get people to contact us, even me direct. I want to do something to acknowledge people in your neighborhoods that are doing something special that we can recognize them for. They don't have to be members, but I would attempt to get a hold of them and let them know that we as a group appreciate what they do or what they did. And I mean, even myself, I'll pat myself on the back. I clean out 3 or 4 houses down. My neighbor doesn't have a snowblower, and there was a mound. And I just took my snowblower down there, walked it all the way down the street, and I cleaned it out. But it's on me too, because if my house is on fire, I don't want anyone to struggle with that. So that's something I would imagine I could just commend someone in your neighborhoods. Nobody else does that in my neighborhood.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else? Okay. Well, like Mike said, both of our email addresses are always on the first page of the newsletter. So if you got anything, you need something, whatever the case may be, send us a message and we'll respond. Thanks.
And as always, thank you for doing a great job for us. Okay, guys, with that, that's about it. Unless anyone has anything else, thank you again for coming. If you have any questions or anything, please, we're always here to board and the officers. Just let us know, and have a great evening.